Most women think men get addicted to beauty. Wrong. A man may admire beauty, but what makes him truly addicted is something deeper, something emotional. Today, I'm going to reveal 3 beautiful behaviors that make a man not just like you, but stay hooked on you in a way he won't even fully understand. Imagine this. He could meet 100 attractive women, but the one he can't stop thinking about is the one who gives him an experience he can't find anywhere else. That's the secret. It's not about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about activating parts of his heart and mind that make him crave your presence. And when you do this, he'll chase you, value you, and never want to let you go. Before I break down these 3 beautiful behaviors, make sure you stay until the end, because the last one is the reason he'll see you as unforgettable. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you did everything right? You dressed beautifully, you were kind, funny, easy to talk to, and yet he still pulled away, or worse, lost interest without giving you any reason? If that's happened, you're not alone, and here's the truth. What keeps a man deeply connected to a woman has very little to do with appearance, and almost everything to do with how you reach the emotional part of his mind that longs for connection. Hi ladies, welcome. In this video, I'm sharing 3 powerful but natural behaviors that make a man emotionally invested in you in a way that feels natural and easy. These are not tricks or games. These are strong feminine habits that connect directly to a man's inner need to feel seen, respected, and safe enough to truly love. We're going to go far beyond the usual tips and into the psychology of real attraction, the type of bond most people don't even realize they're creating when someone can't stop thinking about them. By the end of this video, you won't just understand men more. You'll know exactly how to show up in a way that makes the right man feel magnetically drawn to you and never want to let go. So if you're ready to stop chasing and start being chosen, keep watching. Let's begin with the first behavior that quietly captures his heart. When people ask what makes a man hooked on a woman, they often assume it's about looks. And while chemistry has its place, that's only the spark. What really makes a man emotionally tied is how he feels about himself when he's with you. Think about that for a moment. Men, just like women, are emotional creatures, even if they don't always express it. Inside, they are always asking, even without words, do I feel noticed? Do I feel respected? Do I feel like a real man when I'm around her? Not because of my job or money, but because of who I am at my core. When a man meets a woman who awakens these feelings in him, he gets emotionally attached. It's not about control. It's not about playing with his mind. It's about true connection. Many women spend their energy trying to impress men, but the men never forget. Their secret is different. They don't perform. They don't compete. They don't try to prove themselves. Instead, they create a space that feels like home. It's comforting but also exciting, a place where he feels both admired and challenged. Here's what surprises many people. Emotional addiction doesn't come from drama or little games. Those might spark quick excitement, but it fades. Real, lasting connection is built when a woman holds both softness and standards. She doesn't chase, she doesn't give endlessly to earn love, but when she's present, she's fully present, warm, curious, and confident in her own value. Man becomes emotionally addicted when he discovers he can be his full self around you, while still feeling like the strongest version of himself. In a world that often tells men to hide their feelings or to always act tough, finding a woman who accepts both his light and his shadows, that is rare. That is what pulls him in deeply. In a moment, I'll show you how to spark this reaction, starting with the first natural behavior that shifts everything. Stay with me, because this one will completely change how you see connection. So what's the first behavior that really draws a man close? Feminine energy. But before we go deeper, let's make this clear. Feminine energy is not about being passive, weak, or submissive. That's old thinking, and it's wrong. Feminine energy is strong, magnetic, and deeply attractive because it connects with something men don't even realize they're longing for. In a world that constantly asks men to perform, to provide, to always stay strong, feminine energy gives them something rare: peace, softness, and emotional life. When you are in your feminine, you're not chasing, you're allowing. You're not trying to prove your value, you embody it. You're fully present, open to feeling and expressing, and you let things unfold without trying to control every detail. Here's the real secret. When a man feels this kind of energy, he doesn't just notice you, he feels safe. Not in a dull way, but in a way that lets him lower his walls, drop the mask, and connect with you, the real you, not the version trying to win him over. He might not be able to explain it, but emotionally it's irresistible. Why? Because feminine energy is rare. So many people live in constant hustle mode, always doing, proving, fixing, or analyzing. But when you show up in your being, not only your doing, you immediately stand out. So, what does this actually look like? It's the way you lean into your joy, the way you smile with your whole face, the way you pause before answering instead of reacting instantly, the way you give space in a conversation, the way you share how something makes you feel, instead of jumping into logic or problem solving. When you are connected to your feminine energy, you speak from your heart, your body, your intuition, not just your mind. And men feel it in a very deep way. You're not trying to control how they see you. You're not acting or performing. You're simply being. And strangely enough, that's what makes you unforgettable. Because here's the effect. When a man meets a woman fully in her feminine, he naturally shifts into his masculine. Not because she forces him, but because the balance invites it. She becomes the calm to his storm, the warmth to his edge, the mystery to his logic. That contrast, that dance, is what creates long-term desire. Feminine energy isn't about being less, it's about being fully yourself without apology. It's about trusting yourself, trusting life, and trusting the connection. And when a man senses that kind of trust flowing from you, it touches a part of him few people ever reach. That's why it's the first behavior that makes him deeply drawn to you, not just in a surface way, but in a soul-level way. Now let's talk about the science behind this. Because feminine energy isn't only a vibe, it literally changes how a man's brain reacts to you. When you show up calm, grounded, emotionally open, and fully present, it triggers specific chemical reactions in his brain that feel like addiction. But unlike lust or short-term obsession, this type of addiction is rooted in emotional safety, bonding, and true attraction. Here's what's happening. When a man feels admired, accepted, and emotionally safe with a woman, his brain releases a mix of powerful chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. Dopamine is the reward chemical. It rises when he's with someone who excites and inspires him, especially when that person brings a kind of feminine unpredictability, not chaos, but surprise in her depth, her emotions, her playful energy, and her joy. That's what makes his brain light up. All of this sparks dopamine. He begins to link you with pleasure, excitement, and anticipation. Then comes oxytocin, the bonding chemical. This is so important. When a woman helps a man feel safe emotionally, when he feels accepted and not judged, when he can show his vulnerable side without being made to feel weak, oxytocin is released. That's what builds trust. It makes him want to be close, to open up, and to share more. It's what transforms chemistry into real connection. And then there's serotonin, the chemical tied to mood balance and emotional stability. When a man feels respected and emotionally understood, his serotonin levels balance out. He feels calmer, more grounded, and more like himself when he's with you. And again, he starts to connect that steady, good feeling to your presence. So what does this mean? His brain begins to wire those positive emotions directly to you. That means whenever he sees you, hears from you, or even thinks of you, he gets that rush of feel-good chemicals. Without realizing it, he begins to crave you. Not just your looks, but the energy you bring and how he feels around you. This is why some women become unforgettable, not because they always say the perfect words or look a certain way, but because they awaken this special emotional chemistry that makes a man feel safe, alive, and truly connected. It's not about being flawless. It's about being present, being genuine, and staying in your feminine energy, because that's what changes everything. When you understand how to naturally create this response, you stop chasing love. Love begins chasing you. Now that you see the emotional science behind this, let's move into the next powerful behavior. This one quietly commands respect and raises your value in his eyes instantly. If feminine energy is what attracts a man to you, then self-respect is what keeps him, and not just keeps him in a routine way, but keeps him hooked, engaged, and emotionally invested. There is something so powerful, almost irresistible, about a woman who respects herself so much that she refuses to settle for confusion, crumbs, or half-hearted love. Here's what many get wrong. Self-respect doesn't need to be loud. It's not about attitude, ego, or saying, "I don't need a man." True self-respect is calm, steady, and non-negotiable. It's the quiet power of a woman who knows her worth and will not lose herself just to gain someone's attention. And men can feel this energy. They sense your standards, even if you never spell them out. You don't beg, you don't chase, you don't explain your worth because it's clear without words. This creates a huge shift. Instead of you trying to win him, he starts asking himself, am I good enough for her world? That thought alone, that subtle awareness that he has to rise to your level, ignites real desire and commitment. Here's the simple truth. Men respect women who respect themselves. Period. When you don't allow mixed signals, you teach him how to treat you. When you take your time instead of rushing, you create space for him to see your value. When you're willing to walk away from what doesn't align, even if it's painful, you show that you are the prize, not just an option. Self-respect also shows itself in your boundaries, not as hard walls, but as filters. You don't shut out love, but you protect your peace. You're not cold, but you also don't collapse yourself to keep someone close. You can be soft yet strong, open but discerning, and that mix is deeply attractive to a high-value man. Because a masculine man doesn't want someone to fix, he wants a partner. He wants to feel that if he chooses you, it's because you chose yourself first. He wants to know that your love isn't driven by emptiness, but by fullness. Yes, some men might waste time with women who don't respect themselves, but they build real futures with women who embody it. And when you combine feminine warmth with steady self-worth, that's when you become magnetic, not just in dating, but in every part of life. This is what creates deep emotional connection. He doesn't just want your time or your body. He craves your attention, your presence, your yes. And when you give it honestly and sparingly, it becomes the most precious thing in his life. Now let's see how this plays out in everyday life, because theory is great, but what does it look like in practice? Imagine this, you're talking with him, and instead of rushing to fix his problems or flooding him with advice, you simply listen. Really listen with warmth and curiosity. You give him space to share without pressure or judgment. That emotional presence signals safety. It draws him in because he feels truly heard and understood. Or think about this. You're out together, and instead of trying to control everything, you relax into the moment. You laugh easily, let your playful side come out and enjoy the flow. That joy releases dopamine in his brain, the reward chemical, so he begins to associate being with you as something uplifting and exciting. Another example is how you hold your boundaries. Maybe he texts you late or tries to make last-minute plans. Instead of dropping everything, you calmly say, "I'd love to see you, but I need time for myself tonight." You're not cold or dismissive. You're clear and respectful. This kind of self-respect makes him see your value and encourages him to step up. That challenge deepens attraction naturally. There's also something magnetic about being both vulnerable and strong. When you share a piece of your story, your hopes, or your struggles without shame, it builds emotional closeness. He feels welcomed into your world, and that honesty builds trust. This intimacy triggers oxytocin, the bonding chemical, which makes him want to stay close. And don't overlook the power of mystery. You don't reveal everything at once. You let curiosity stay alive. Maybe you hint at your passions, or share a little about your past, but you leave space for him to ask and explore. That quiet intrigue keeps the excitement alive and makes him want to invest more time in discovering you. Finally, think about conflict. The way you carry yourself in disagreement matters. Instead of reacting with anger or trying to win, you stay centered, calm and confident. That shows maturity and self-respect. It naturally earns his respect and strengthens the bond. These everyday moments are where the beautiful behaviors we've been talking about truly come to life. They build emotional connection, create trust, and spark desire, not by playing games, but through real connection. Always remember, it's the mix of feminine energy, self-respect, and emotional safety in practice that makes a man drawn to you in a way that feels deep, lasting, and meaningful. Now, we'll move into how emotional safety becomes the hidden key that keeps him loyal for the long run. Let's step into the third and perhaps most important behavior that makes a man deeply connected to you, and that is creating emotional safety. This may sound simple, but emotional safety is the base of any strong, lasting relationship. Without it, attraction slowly fades and love struggles to grow. Emotional safety means making a space where he feels free to be his true self, without fearing judgment, rejection, or criticism. It's about being the kind of woman who listens without jumping to conclusions, who gives support without trying to control, and who loves without putting conditions. When a man feels emotionally safe with you, his guard finally comes down. He stops pretending to always be strong or perfect. He begins to open up in ways he didn't expect, sharing his worries, dreams, and even his tender sides. When this happens, it creates a closeness unlike any other, a connection so powerful that he becomes emotionally attached in the healthiest way possible. So, how do you build this type of safety? It begins with your energy. Are you patient when he shares something hard? Do you answer with kindness and empathy, or do you react defensively or lose patience? Do you make him feel heard and understood, even when you don't fully agree? These little acts of true care add up over time and build a strong wall of trust. Creating emotional safety also requires consistency. He must feel that he can depend on you, not only when times are smooth, but especially when life becomes messy. When you remain calm, steady, and supportive through both highs and lows, he sees that your love is not fragile or conditional. That kind of reliability is powerful and magnetic. Another important piece is respecting his emotional limits. Sometimes a man isn't ready to share everything right away, and that's fine. Forcing him or pressing too much can have the opposite effect. Instead, give him the space and time to open up at his own pace. Let him know you're there, ready to listen whenever he feels comfortable. You also create emotional safety by managing your own emotions wisely. When conflicts or tense moments come up, your ability to stay calm and balanced shows him that you're secure in yourself. This steadiness makes him feel safe enough to open up. Remember, emotional safety doesn't mean avoiding all disagreements or struggles. That's not realistic. It's about making a space where difficulties can be faced together without fear that love will break apart. When a man feels emotionally safe, his brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which makes him crave closeness and intimacy. This isn't shallow attraction, it's a deep soul-level connection. And here's the special part. Women who provide emotional safety never need to chase. Men naturally want to stay close, protect, and commit to the woman who gives them this feeling. So, as you nurture feminine energy and stand strong in your self-respect, remember that emotional safety is the glue that holds everything together. Next, let's look at how these actions create loyalty that lasts, turning simple attraction into a lifelong bond. When we think about making a man deeply attached, it's easy to only focus on attraction and chemistry, but the real secret, the thing that turns sparks into a steady flame, is loyalty. So, what makes a man loyal loyal for the long term. Loyalty isn't about control or rules. It's a daily choice a man makes because he feels connected, respected, and emotionally satisfied. When he chooses to stay loyal, it's because being with you adds value to his life in ways he can't find anywhere else. One of the biggest reasons men stay loyal is when they feel truly seen and valued at a deep level. This goes beyond looks or simple compliments. It's about feeling understood, knowing you accept him with his flaws, and encouraging his growth instead of trying to change him. When a man feels this kind of acceptance, it builds a powerful bond he doesn't want to lose. Trust is another major piece. Trust is the backbone of loyalty. When a man believes you truly care for him, speak honestly, and respect his limits, he feels safe giving his heart to the relationship fully. This trust allows him to be himself without fear of judgment. Men also stay loyal when they know their effort is noticed. If you show gratitude for his time, his care, and the little acts of love he does, it builds a positive cycle. He feels appreciated, and that inspires him to keep giving more. Loyalty grows strong in relationships where both partners feel equally valued and supported. Emotional closeness plays a huge role too. Sharing dreams, fears, and your true self creates a connection that's hard to replace. This closeness makes the relationship feel like a team, encouraging commitment because you're not just two individuals, you're partners facing life side by side. At the same time, keeping your individuality is just as important. A man respects a woman who has her own passions, her own sense of self, and her own world outside the relationship. When you stay true to yourself, it creates respect and admiration, and that naturally deepens loyalty. Consistency is also key. Being dependable, kind, and emotionally present over time shows him that your relationship is solid and safe. When a man sees that you are steady and real, he's more likely to give his heart for the long run. Loyalty isn't some hidden mystery. It's built on emotional closeness, trust, respect, appreciation, and being genuine. When you live by these values, you don't need to worry about chasing or competing. A man who truly values you will keep choosing you again and again for a lifetime. Finally, let's bring all of this together. As we come to the last part of this journey, take a moment to breathe and really take in everything we've explored. Now you understand the three powerful behaviors that make a man deeply connected to you. Embracing your feminine energy, holding strong self-respect, and building emotional safety. These aren't tricks or quick methods. They are the foundation of real, lasting connection that keeps love alive. The truth is, attraction and love don't come from trying harder or pretending to be someone you're not. They grow when you show up as your full self, confident, real, and open with your emotions. When you live these behaviors, you don't just catch a man's attention, you reach his heart. Your next step is simple but powerful. Begin practicing these behaviors regularly. It's not about being perfect or doing it all at once. Start with one small shift. Maybe it's embracing your feminine energy by bringing more joy and presence into your day. Or maybe it's drawing a boundary that protects your self-respect, or practicing deeper listening that builds emotional safety during your talks. Over time, steady practice creates momentum. Every time you show these qualities, you reshape your relationship pattern, making it hard for him not to feel drawn to you on a deep emotional level. And remember, this path is also about self-love. When you truly love yourself with strength and honesty, you shine with a magnetic energy no one can ignore. You become a light that naturally attracts the right person into your world, someone who values you, respects your limits, and wants to build a future with you. If you're here right now, chances are you're ready for that kind of love. You're ready to stop accepting less and start experiencing a bond that feels nurturing and lasting. That readiness alone is your hidden power. So here's your plan of action. Think about which behavior feels easiest to begin with. Then promise yourself to practice it each day. Notice the way it shifts your interactions, boosts your confidence, and changes the way he reacts. Write down your progress or share it with a close friend. Celebrate every step because each one is a real victory. And above all, don't hurry the journey. Deep, lasting love grows in its own rhythm. When you respect your own pace and honor your worth, you call in a relationship that is truly right for you. Thank you so much for being here. If this message spoke to you, please like the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and share it with someone who needs this reminder. And don't forget to subscribe for more guidance.